Title: My wife kept leaving a plate at the dinner table every night. Then I found out why script 3 to 5 minutes. For almost a year, my wife did something I couldn't explain. Every night before dinner, she would set the table. 2 plates for us and a third plate. Always the third plate. At first I thought it was a mistake. Then I thought it was a habit. But after weeks turned into months, I realized it was neither. Because she never forgot. Not once. The third plate was always there. Perfectly placed, perfectly clean, and completely untouched. Whenever I asked about it, she would smile and say, "It's important." Then she'd leave it at that. I tried not to think about it. But the longer it continued, the stranger it felt. Who was the plate for? Why did it matter so much? And why wouldn't she tell me? One evening I finally couldn't take it anymore. Dinner was quiet. The third plate sat empty as usual, and I asked directly, "Who are we saving a seat for?" My wife froze. Her fork stopped halfway to her mouth. For a moment I thought she might finally tell me. Instead, she quietly stood up and walked into the bedroom. I immediately regretted asking, but a few minutes later she returned carrying an old photo album. She placed it on the table, right beside the empty plate. Then she opened it. The first photo showed a little girl, maybe 10 years old, smiling. Holding my wife's hand, I frowned. I'd never seen her before. "Who is she?" I asked, my wife's eyes filled with tears. Her name was Emma. The room went silent. Slowly she told me the story. Years before we met, my wife worked as a social worker. One day, she met a young girl named Emma. Emma had lost both of her parents. She had no close family, no stable home, and no one who visited her. Over time, my wife became the closest thing Emma had to family. They spent birthdays together, holidays together, even simple dinners together. Emma would sit at that exact seat, the seat where the third plate now sat. Then one winter, Emma became seriously ill. Doctors tried everything, but her condition worsened. A few months later, she passed away. She was only 13 years old. Tears rolled down my wife's face. I promised her she'd never be forgotten. For years after Emma's death, my wife kept that promise. Every evening she placed a third plate at the table, not because she believed Emma would return, but because remembering her mattered. The empty plate wasn't about grief. It was about love. Love that never had a chance to grow old. I looked at the photographs again, and suddenly the mystery didn't seem strange anymore. It seemed beautiful. That night we talked about Emma for hours. The funny stories, the memories, the dreams she never got to live. And for the first time I understood why the plate was there. Sometimes people hold on to traditions that don't make sense to anyone else. Not because they're stuck in the past, but because some people leave footprints on our hearts that never disappear. The next evening, when dinner was ready, I walked into the kitchen, and before my wife could do it herself, I placed the third plate on the table. She looked at me, smiled through tears, and quietly squeezed my hand. Because sometimes the greatest way to love someone is to help carry the memories they refuse to let die.